on this video is to demonstrate to you how to do measurements and where to measure. So I'm just going to go really quickly. Most of it's pretty self-explanatory, but I want to show you one measurement tip so that you're getting consistent measurements. So the first place you want to measure is your bust. So you're just going to come around with a soft measuring tape and measure your bust. Make sure that it's even all the way around. And then you're going to do the same thing for under your bust. So those are the first two places, your chest or bust and right underneath your bust. The second is your small of your waist. So if you don't know where your small of your waist is, it's really where kind of your ribs end right before your hip bone begins. So in that smaller area. Some of you are top heavy, I'm bottom heavy. So you may feel like, I don't know where the small of my waist is. That's okay. Just find where your ribs are and before your hip bone begins, and it's in that spot. So you're gonna do the same thing, like I said, self-explanatory, and come around and take that measurement. The third place I always measure, because I tend to accumulate fat here where I have love handles and I have this bigger part of my waist here. So I want to know that that's getting improvement. So I not only take this measurement with my small of my waist, but I take a second measurement with the bigger part of my waist. And I include my love handles and go right across my belly button, and I take that measurement. When I do my overall inches lost, I count those together. So I take the small of my waist and the larger part of my waist, I see if there's inches lost, I add those together and I count those as the inches I've lost in my waist. So I hope that makes sense. And then the next one I do is hips. You want to stand shoulder width apart when you're doing your hip measurement. And basically, you want to use this measurement rule where you take your pinky and your thumb and you choose which hand you're going to use and use the same hand every time so that your measurements are consistent. So basically what you're doing is you're putting your thumb, you're kind of digging it into the small of your waist, and then you're extending your hand as much as possible all the way down to where your hip is, and that's where your reference point is going to be for your measurement. You're going to come all the way around, but what you want to make sure is that you're standing shoulder width apart. So because human error is going to take a little, up or down with the measurements, it's going to make the measurements a little bit different. Take the measurements 3 times every time you measure any part of your body. That way you know you're going to get an average of those 3 different measurements, and you should be able to come up with a consistent number. So when it's something like this and you have to rely on yourself standing shoulder width apart, sometimes it might be a little bit more, that's going to make the measurement go up. Sometimes you might be a little bit closer, that's going to make it go down. So take it 3 times. And when you're doing your after measurements, same thing. The next place is your upper thigh. So I measure 2 parts of the thigh, and I do the same thing as the waist. I count that as my inches lost in my thighs, okay? If you want to keep track of it separately, great, but I add them up at the end when I'm looking at my total body inches lost, okay? So I take the biggest part of my thigh where I accumulate fat in here, and I take this part that I call the bathigh. The bathigh, some people call it the thut. The bathigh is basically where your thigh and your butt kind of blend. People who are really athletic or really in shape or just don't accumulate a lot of fat, they have a separation. I'm working on that. I don't have a separation, so I got a bathigh. And so I like to know that that's having some progress. So I take my measurement here, and again, I lean on this leg so that, because if I'm up like this, the measurement's going to change. So I make sure this leg is fully extended, my knee is kind of locked, and I measure that around here. And again, I do that 3 times to get a consistent measurement. Same with this, leaning on this, leg or knee is locked, and I take that measurement here. The next measurement for my thigh is going to be my mid thigh. I'm using that measurement tip or tool here with the extended fingers. So I'm standing with my leg locked, and I'm going to the bottom of my knee and extending my thumb up, and then I'm measuring around this way. That way, and again 3 times, that way I know I have a consistent measurement. So leg is locked, stand around, put your thumb or your pinky and your thumb here, and then you're standing and you're doing it 3 times on both sides. The final measurement is your arms, and this one is a little more tricky because you have to kind of keep the soft tape from moving. If you have somebody who can help you, ask somebody to help you. It's easier. I've gotten really used to it, But what you're going to do is you're going to extend your arm this way, okay? Let me see if this is any better. So you're going to extend your arm this way, and basically, can you see that? What's going to happen is you want it to be loose. You don't want to be flexed. You want it to be loose. And when you do that, you're going to take that same hand, put one pinky on your elbow, and one is extended. Wherever that thumb lands, that's your reference point for your measurement. And again, you're going to want to do that 3 times so that you have a consistent measurement. And same goes with the other side. This I've gotten used to, but again, the arm is the only one that I find to be a little bit difficult because the measure kind of wants to move around and you're not exactly sure is that the spot. So if you have somebody who can help you, have somebody help you. Now, that said, if you don't have one of these, take a piece of string or rope or whatever is in your house. Use a permanent marker, Sharpie. Do the measurements like I demonstrated and mark off the little tick marks. And then you can take a ruler and you can measure it. That's one way to get around it. But these are sold everywhere. You can get them at Walgreens, Walmart, Target, wherever you shop, grocery store, wherever. And then that's how you take your measurements. So you're going to take them before you start, and then the day, not the very last day, at the end of the day, you're going to take them the morning after we're done with the 5 days. So this coming Sunday is when you're going to take your final measurements. And that's really going to show you how you've progressed. The other way you're going to really keep track of your progress is a before and after photo. I know people a lot of times shy away from this, but there's nothing better than having these measurements and having a before and after photo, because your weight could be muscle, it could be water, it could be fat. It's an indicator, but it's not that great of an indicator if you're really looking to see how you've progressed. So that said, the one tip I want to really stress is if you're going to take a before and after photo, get in front of a background that's plain and use the same outfit. So what I will do is take my before photo in the same outfit as my after photo. And that's really gonna, between the contrast of the back of the wall and you being in the same outfit, it's really going to show you your progress, and you'll be surprised. You really see a difference. So I hope these help. If you have questions, please put them in the group so everybody benefits from the answer. And if you have any questions on how to do this or any more clarification that you need, just post it in the group, and I will see you soon.